and it automatically goes public. So when I looked at, like, I want to see which one of you in this room like had signed up for the Eventbrite and got the link for the movie, right? Y'all with me on this? You guys remember this stuff, right? Okay. Like all of a sudden these randos kept popping up. And I was like, yeah, okay, like maybe they got the wrong thing. Well, evidently a bunch of other people watched Public Trust, Manchester's Public Trust event, and then went to the Zoom link. So I had this half-hour conversation with this woman, okay, in Colorado, and and eventually we kept talking. I said, I don't think anybody's going to show up, and anybody else. And she's like, that's fine. She's like, this has been a really great conversation. And I said, well, I got to be really honest with you. I didn't think anyone was going to show up to this because it was only for my high school students. And she was like, what? She's like, I had no idea that you were a high school teacher. I thought somehow you were associated with the film. And but it was cool, man. It made me feel popular or cool. And so, anyways, it was great. She joined. She said in quarantine she was just kind of going crazy, so she will just look under Eventbrite categories and pick something that sounds interesting just to learn something new. And I was like, that is so stinking cool. And she was an art teacher at like for private lessons. Or she did a whole bunch of stuff. But it was a really, really cool conversation. And so anyway, so Public Trust, if you're interested, then that's going to pop up. And I had a random conversation this morning with Matt Carver. He, I don't know how it came up, but we were talking about binging shows, and he's like, do you have Netflix? I was like, yeah, duh. And then he said, you got to check out a show called Meat Eaters. And then I've not seen Meat Eaters, and I need to see if the guy is in Public Trust, because he said ultimately, he said it's a show kind of about hunting, but it's more about keeping public lands public. Has anybody seen this show? Would you agree with that? He's really promoting like public lands and making sure that people can access those lands. So anyway, sorry, that was 10 minutes of me talking about Public Trust. I'm super excited. I'll probably watch it again. I've watched it twice now. Okay, so today I want to talk about a couple different things. One of them is an extremely difficult topic called El Nino, but before we talk about El Nino, hold on, that's not what I want. I want to talk about, sorry. The what? Oh yeah, the baby boy, the tiny boy, little boy. Anybody fans of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Sorry. Technical difficulties here. Okay, not that. Not that. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Sorry. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the ocean currents. And, have you all been to the ocean? It's been to the ocean. Okay. Hopefully you'll get to go there someday. I used to teach a class called Summer Biology, and it was super fun. And it was 5 weeks, and we would meet 7 o'clock in the morning until noon. No, it was actually 3 weeks. 3, 4, I can't remember. 7 o'clock till noon. And that sounds horrible, but it was super fun. And we would take field trips every Friday, and I would take kids to Indiana Dunes National Park, and we would climb up those big giant dunes and look out and see beautiful Lake Michigan. And one time this girl, oh man, I thought she was going to die climbing up this dune, but she got to the top and she looked up out into Lake Michigan, and just with this completely heartfelt like look on her face, she said, I want to thank you, Mr. Bremer, for bringing us here. And I was like, oh, that's really sweet. And then she said, I've always wanted to see the ocean. Ooh. So I did not tell her that it wasn't the ocean because I couldn't. She was so excited that I just couldn't bring my. I thought hopefully at some point someone would say, you know, like, by the way, this is Lake Michigan. That's a 100% true story. So when we talk about the ocean currents, there's a lot of things. You know, temperature, of course, is a huge thing. Okay, gravity. We want to get back into gravity today. That was a great conversation yesterday. Winds, the Coriolis effect. So let's review the Coriolis effect real quickly. If I'm standing in Michigan and I want to throw my ball, okay, to Indiana, which direction is it going to go? Okay, to the right, correct? If I stand in Indiana, okay, and I want to throw my ball to Michigan, which way is it going to go? To the right, okay? And that's because I'm in the northern hemisphere, right? If I'm in, let's say, yes.
Can we talk about number 11 on the 8th question?
Sure.
Why?
Are we talking about, you mean the one about weather? And like, yeah, sure. We'll get to that. Give me a second here. Okay, so if I'm standing in like Chile and I want to throw it to Brazil, which way is it going to go? Okay, to the left, right? If I'm standing in Brazil and I want to throw it to Chile, which way is it going to go? To the left, because that's in the southern hemisphere. All right. So when we're talking about ocean stuff, right, these Coriolis effects really do come into play, but also the warmness of the water, okay? Just like air, that warm air or warm water is going to expand and rise, okay? And when we do that, we're going to get these patterns of water circulation, okay? Typically, again, ocean currents rotate in a clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere and a counterclockwise direction in the southern hemisphere. Now, remember, that's opposite to the hurricanes, right? Hurricanes are going to go counterclockwise, okay, because the air is rushing towards that low pressure in the middle, okay? It goes to the right, and therefore it goes counterclockwise, right? So air is rushing in, okay? It pushes it a little bit to the right, right? So it's going to be counterclockwise as it tries to get into the middle. And then the opposite is true in the southern hemisphere. Okay, now here's this crazy thing called upwelling. And upwelling is like incredibly important. Okay, water like turns over. You guys ever hear about like lakes turning over? Have you ever heard of this before? Like, so every season, like the lakes turn over, okay, because of these processes. So like, but I mean, I wish it was way cooler than what it really is, because you don't get to see the lake turn over. Like, wouldn't it be awesome if you're like driving like down, you know, the road and you're like, oh my God, and like it's like the lake is like, you know, and like you're like, oh, the lake's turning over, quick, you gotta get over here. And it's not like that, right? Okay, but we got stuff from the bottom that's going to be coming up to the top, and that's important, especially in the ocean, because we want those nutrients in the bottom, okay, to help come to the top. And why do we want some of those nutrients on the bottom to come to the top? Yeah, maybe photosynthesize. What else? Okay, yeah, it's food, right? We got food. Okay, food for plants. And if we have food for plants, then those plants will be food for what? My mom. Thank you, Emma. So insightful. Okay, right? They're food for those primary consumers, right? Y'all with me on this? Okay, we want some of those nutrients to come up, okay, from the bottom. Okay, and so when we get, remember, anytime I talk about nutrients for the most part, okay, we're talking about plants, we're talking about things like nitrogen and phosphorus, right? Okay, fertilizers. Nutrients are fertilizers, okay? Y'all with me on that? Okay, sometimes for some reason, I've noticed this in the last few years, that people confuse like fertilizers and pesticides. Okay, I'm not sure why, right? Pesticides are killers, you know, fertilizers are growers, right? Y'all with me? How you go? Okay, yeah. Question?
So you said that in the class I sent you a link about the plant food.
Okay, cool.
So you
Cool.
should look
All right, cool. All right, and I will totally.
The earth is flat.
All right.
So the whole upline thing is kind of like taking a mixing bowl and like scooping.
Yeah, getting that stuff on the bottom. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Did you hear that? It's kind of like taking like a bowl of like stuff that you're like making. Say you're making a meatloaf. Okay, you got the. I made meatloaf 2 nights ago. Okay, you want my meatloaf recipe? You got a cup of oats, right? 3/4 cup of salsa. Okay, a little squirt of ginger. Or I mean garlic. Okay, and then and an egg. You mix all that together. That's it. It's the best meatloaf in the world. Hannah taught me that one. All right. Well, the meat. Then you put the meat in there too. I missed. Sorry, I didn't. Okay, I didn't say meat. Sorry. Okay, now here's something I think about a lot, and it freaks me out. Okay, and this is probably something you've never ever heard of before. It's called thermohaline circulation. So, I don't know. I like, especially in anatomy, those prefixes and suffixes. What's thermo? What do you think that means? Heat, temperature. What do you think haline is? Salt. Oh, dang, how'd you know that? Saline, haline. All right, I got that. That's cool, right? So this is crazy. The thermohaline circulation is nuts because it drives a lot of what's happening in the ocean, moving the heat and nutrients around the globe. So here's a picture of what you're like, oh gosh, this is a lot going on. Let me show you this quick video. Wait, hold on a second. I gotta mute something because I don't want you to see something. It's not like that. All right. And then, well, you'll see. All right. Watch this.
Oxygen gets mixed into the ocean by the churning action of waves, currents, and tides on the surface. But it's the great ocean conveyor that takes oxygen to the ocean's deepest depths. The conveyor moves surface water warmed at the equator toward the poles. As the water cools, it becomes denser and sinks to the deep ocean, taking life-sustaining oxygen with it.
How do we turn off the conveyor? We simply remove the difference in temperature between the poles and the tropics. We warm the poles, we keep the tropics the same temperature. That conveyor, which is driven by heat differences, stops. When it stops, we lose oxygen on the bottom, and we start the mechanism to mass extinction.
All right, first of all, okay, this guy is way too nonchalant here about this last statement. Just watch this again here with me.
Oxygen on the bottom, and we start the mechanism to mass extinction.
Oh, by the way, mass extinction, right? Just that's it. You know, we're just gonna, we've had 6 of them. Let's, or we got 5 of them. Let's do 6 as well. Let's do 7, right? Okay. No, I think it's a little crazier than that, right? Okay. So again, think about those differences, right? We need some oxygen on the bottom, right? Okay. Addison shared a movie with me. It was really super cool. We're not going to watch the whole thing because it's like 10 minutes long. Okay. But it was really great. And I just thought of it again just right now. And it was called, help me with the title again. Yeah, the ocean one. Oh yeah, the ocean. Yeah. It's deeper. Okay, so here I'll kind of go through. Oh yeah, the ocean is way deeper than you think it is. So this would be an awesome video if you want to watch it. But I'm just gonna kind of go through it right here. So like
Going underwater and see.
I'll just kind of fast forward. You can see like we're going down 440 meters. Okay, oh you can't see. Okay, sorry. Okay, so like. You're going down 535 meters. Then we go 2,000 meters. You can see this cool thing, the black dragonfish, right? Then you go down even more. You can find where the Titanic sank to. Okay, this is kind of where we think the ocean floor is, but 4,267 meters, which is really cool, but there's some deeper stuff too. Okay. The Jacques Picard went down to 10,916 meters. Okay. We think that, oh yeah, this was the deepest spot right here. And then we found another one that's pretty deep, around 10,732 meters. Okay. The second deepest spot, which is pretty crazy, but there could be deeper things, right? So there's stuff alive down there, 10,000 feet, which is insane. Okay. How do we get, it's dark, midnight zone, man. Octonauts. You guys do Octonauts? When you were little kids, do anybody do that show, Octonauts? Nobody? Yeah, Octonauts, right? These little characters, and they explored the Midnight Zone. My kids love that one. Okay, when we're getting down into that area, okay, then what we're finding is, you need to take those nutrients, and then we also need to bring some of those nutrients up. So warm water, okay, rising, cool water, sinking, okay. So let's just look at this. I'm going to break this down a little bit, and then we'll talk about El Nino. Okay, so let's start at number one. Okay, so warm water flows from the Gulf of Mexico to the north, where some of it freezes and evaporates. Okay, boom. Okay, once we get up here, that water is cooler and saltier, so it's going to sink. So all this water is sinking, and with that, taking some great nutrients with it. Okay. So then we get to 3, this deep ocean, cold ocean current, right? It rises to the surface eventually and circulates back to the north as it warms, okay? And then, the cold water travels connecting the world's oceans. Then 4, the cold deep water rises because we get up here near the equator, okay? And the cycle kind of goes all over again, right? Okay, so it's all about that sinking and rising and taking nutrients with it. And if we don't cool it off here, then that circulation may stop and we start killing some of these little guys on the bottom, and it could be a chain reaction, right? Y'all with me on this? Okay, all right. We'll come back to that. I want to talk about another weird weather event. It's called El Nino, okay? You guys might know El Nino because of this person right here. If you've never seen this before, you need to get to know this gentleman, man.
All other tropical storms must bow before El Nino. Yo soy El Nino. For those of you who don't habla español, El Nino is Spanish for the Nino.
Right there it is, Chris Farley, R.I.P., right? He's such a great, oh man, he was a great guy. All right, so we're going to watch a quick little thing on El Nino, but I've got to tell you that, well, should I give you a spoiler?
No.
I won't give the spoiler. Okay, I got too much technology today going on. Okay, this comes from National Geographic. Now, I guess I have to tell you because I forgot that it was, it tells you right here. This was produced by Conrad Borgman. Do you guys know Conrad Borgman? Okay, watch this very, very carefully, and hopefully you can see Conrad's special touch in this National Geographic film. Funny dude. That kid keeps getting taller too.
I know.
He washed those windows. He didn't even need a ladder, right? Okay, sorry. I want to move this.
Why is it?
What's that? Why is that? He's so tall. Get it?
Yeah, I know. Did you see his craft fan?
No.
The LED lights from outside.
No.
Blacked out the rim and stuff.
No, I haven't seen that. But I do want to see his brother's conversion van bus.
Okay, you're together.
Sorry, this thing is okay. All right, here we go.
A natural force of nature, unlike any other.
El Nino.
It's capable of unleashing a fury of climate changes and natural disasters that span from Alaska all the way to South America and beyond. What causes
El Nino.
and how are we affected by
El Nino.
it? Is not a storm, but rather a weather phenomenon in the Pacific Ocean. During
El Nino.
the surface water temperature warms up, leading to complex weather patterns. South American fishermen in the 19th century, describing warmer waters during Christmas time, coined the name
El Nino.
Spanish for
The Nino.
nowadays, when sea surface temperatures in the equatorial Pacific Ocean rise 0.5 degrees Celsius over their historic average for 3 consecutive months, and when atmospheric conditions and rainfall patterns shift accordingly, scientists officially declare an
El Nino.
An-
El Nino.
event takes place about every 2 to 7 years. Normal east to west trade winds over the Pacific weaken, and warm water that normally travels westward is now moving toward the east. Moisture then rises into the air, and the effects of
El Nino.
are felt throughout the Americas. In the ocean, warm water pushes colder water downward, blocking the important upwelling of nutrient-rich waters from the bottom. This causes some marine life to migrate to colder waters. Animals that normally feed on the sea life suffer, and fisheries throughout Central and South America suffer too.
El Nino.
The most noticeable repercussions are felt on land. In the western United States and Central and South America, the warm air and moisture lead to increased storms, rainfall, floods, loss of life and property, and the increase of some vector-borne diseases like malaria, even in places where they don't normally occur. In Southeast Asia and Australia, the opposite takes place. These areas suffer from drought, wildfires, and colder ocean waters. In 1997 and 98, the world experienced the biggest
El Nino.
in recorded history. Some estimates blame that
El Nino.
for 2,100 deaths and $33 billion in damages. Mongolia saw temperatures reach 108 degrees Fahrenheit. There was record flooding in Peru, and the U.S. saw storms in the Gulf Coast, flash flooding from California to Mississippi, and tornadoes in Florida. Scientists are now better able to predict if and when an
El Nino.
event will take place. This helps communities better prepare for the changes in weather patterns and better adapt to its repercussions.
Is that not amazing? That kid, I swear, he was like, I showed the National Geographic video in class, and then the next day, I'm like, I was out in the hallway doing my duties, and I come in and he's at my computer. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Nothing." And then he's like, "Just watch this." I go, "We watched this yesterday." He's like, "Just watch it." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" He just totally just photoshopped it, or whatever you do to make that. All right, I'm gonna stop there. Okay, but I want to do one last thing because tomorrow we're gonna hit El Nino hard. Okay, I need to remind you of something. On the count of 3, everyone point to my north. Okay, good. This way, right? Okay, right? Okay, right. So now what's that? Oh, did I not say 3?
No, you're
Oh.
like on the count of 3, and then I was waiting.
Well, people pointed before I said. Well, people pointed before I said it, and then I got distracted. Because people were doing this, I was like, okay, good, they got it. And then I forgot to count down. Okay, real quick, everybody, 1, 2, 3, north. Okay, south, east, west. Okay, good. One more time, north, south, east, west. Okay, good. All right. Okay, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Thanks for sticking with me. I know people got up early to work out. What's that? When's the next one? El Nino? Well, we had one last year, and so it's weird. They keep predicting, like sometimes they'll say, like, "Oh, this looks like it's going to be an El Nino." Okay. There's also something called a law. So no, it's all about the water temperature in the tropical Pacific Ocean.
Hey, Mr. Berman.
Does it happen at random? Can I put this in your fridge?
Kind of.
Or does it happen like
2 to 7 years. What's that? Is it happening more now? We're seeing, yeah, crazy stuff with climate change and like wind stuff.
You need to
Um,
look at that link.
Okay. Hold on a second. I'm gonna see if let's see. So since 2000, we've had it in 2002, 2004, 2006, 2009, 2014, 16, okay, and 1920. Okay, right, exactly, right. So El Nino, let's see, 2021. That there could be a maximum in 2021. Let's see if it says El Nino remains neutral at this time. So right now, nothing.
Wait, what? It's called El Nino or La Nina?
Two different things.
What is La Nina?
So La Nina is kind of the opposite of El Nino. But I'll explain all that tomorrow.
Why did they call it that? Like, who got the name El Nino?
It was those Spanish fishermen named it that because I forget now, like why they named it that. Like name origin. With the, yeah. So yeah, right. It was in the 1600s. The name was chosen based on the time of year, around December when they spotted it. So it's like Jesus, baby Jesus child. I wish they would have called it baby Jesus child. Right? Little baby Jesus. That would make a lot more sense, right? Okay. Justice. Oh, life science. I like this.
Gotta go down to the theory. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
They've got some pretty whacked up ideas.
Our flat earthers being serious.
Yeah.
I know, I've done it for like a year, and then someone else is like, and I can just like,
Got it.
oh, good, she one that's like.
There's a
long
flat
distance,
earth
and
pie
it's
right
like,
there.
yeah,
There's
sure,
one-
and then
no,
you
next to
slide
that.
down, you can do the whole thing.
There's a flat earth pie.
That's the thing, you just slide down and see it.
I don't know, but
You know, you do that. No stress.
I don't have hydraulic. Not the issue. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Ah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know, I saw that in homework. But he said yesterday that we were gonna talk about our trends. Yeah, I know. Well, this is all together, so he's like,
Anti-moon.
yeah, he got the same as me on the first one.
An invisible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I don't even know what's doing the one at the 8 thing, where he gave us the equation. I just know type that.
Justice, what do we have? What do we have? What is this? Oh, it's the theory.
GPS devices are rigged to make airplane pilots think they're flying in straight line.
It's all conspiracy.
Wow. Good.
There's a spirit level of Lord of Flight.
Oh yeah, chess.
Do you think that some bleeds have gotten creative in Quest? See, whether the plane's nose would dip to compensate for curvatures.
Insane.
That makes no sense.